Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George. We're all George. So, I have the reason why Bitcoin dipped. The cause of the Bitcoin dip that so many of you guys are tuning in right now to learn more of. I'm going to tell you what caused the dip and why I'm even more bullish after this dip. This is a tremendous amount of Bitcoins that was sold at one time. And despite that, Bitcoin is still holding strong. And it makes me more bullish, more bullish, and more bullish. And yes, more bullish. All right, let's get started. Thanks for tuning in. As always, smash a like, subscribe to the channel. 2 streams every day, 11:30 and 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. So make sure you hit that notification bell to get notified. And follow me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and check out all the latest articles on CryptosRUs.com. All right, guys, welcome. I can see a lot of people tuning in very early this morning. And that's because people are panicking, want to know what happened with Bitcoin. In fact, last night, I had a really good conversation with James from Invest Answers. And, even during the stream, things were starting to come down a little bit. And then, of course, later that night, we saw Bitcoin dip down to as low as 29.5. Then it tried to dip down a couple times more at 29.3. And now it's a little bit higher, 29.8. So we are below $30,000, right? And, of course, with Bitcoin coming down, the entire market has come down slightly. So you could see that Bitcoin came down about 9% since yesterday, but Ethereum only down 8%. Interesting. But a lot of other altcoins got, slaughtered. 14%, 17%, 14, 23, Uniswap 20, 18, 20. You could see that. But very interesting that Ethereum actually held better than Bitcoin. I don't think that's a coincidence. I'll talk about that in a little bit. Okay, so what caused Bitcoin to come down? That's the million-dollar question, right? And I was doing research, trying to find out what is the cause. Is this just a natural occurrence? Did TA or something predict that we were going to fall all of a sudden down to 29.8, which on the grand scheme of things isn't that bad. And why I say that is because we know that Bitcoin recently has formed lower lows at 28.8, and that's the spot that a lot of people anticipated Bitcoin was going to fall to. It didn't hit that. A lot of people anticipated that Bitcoin was going to go a lot lower, 28, 25, 23, 20. No, we didn't get there, right? But what caused a sudden dip? Well, look at this. I found it this morning. This is eye-opening, okay? Coinbase Pro inflow. You had one individual, well, it could be multiple, but you have this one period where 79,000 Bitcoins was deposited into Coinbase, and this caused the dip. 79,000 Bitcoins, and if you extrapolate the price or the total, because at the price of about 31,000-ish around there, this total to be $2.5 billion. So yes, one person, one entity, or many entities decided to sell $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin simultaneously on the spot market. They did not choose to do this with OTC, okay? They did it on the spot market. They purposely deposited it into Coinbase to cause Bitcoin to fall down. Now, that is the reason. That's why Bitcoin fell down another 1,000 points. Okay, it's pretty obvious. When you look at all the inflows going back to 2020, this goes back 1 year. It goes back July of 2020. You could see this one inflow is towers. It towers over all previous inflows. So this is pretty obvious. And no other exchange had this big of a spike. I checked all of them. Derivative exchanges didn't have it. So whoever this whale is decided to do this. Now, what should you do with this information? This is why I'm more bullish. Okay, I'm even more bullish after this. Because to me, this tells me a couple of things. One, whoever's behind this is really desperate. Whatever their agenda is, and I'm going to get to what may be the agenda in right after this. Whatever the agenda is, this entity, person, multiple entities is really, really, really desperate, trying to drive Bitcoin down. Okay, this is a desperate move. If this was, let's say, MicroStrategy or someone else, some big player that had this many Bitcoins to sell, they would do it on the OTC market. Okay, they wouldn't try to deposit it in Coinbase and sell on Coinbase. So this to me screams desperation, that Bitcoin should have gone down more based on all the media FUD and miner exodus and all this stuff, but it didn't. So it didn't fit their agenda. So I think this is like a last-ditch effort to try to drive things as low as possible. This is an enormous amount. I can't imagine there's many entities out there that has $2.5 billion worth of Bitcoin just lying around. And the fact that they're able to just deposit in Coinbase and then just sell it on Coinbase. I mean, I can't. There's probably only a handful of people out there that has this much, right? So to me, number one, this seems like a very desperate attempt to try to drive Bitcoin lower. And they've succeeded, but did they really? Bitcoin is still hovering right around 30,000. We're not far off. We're 300 points from 30,000. So the second thing why I'm more bullish is, despite the fact we just had 79,000 Bitcoins being sold on the spot market, not OTC. 79,000 Bitcoins being sold on the spot market. Bitcoin is still holding at 30,000. That shows you how strong Bitcoin is. Remember a few days ago, I'm like, if you look at all the statistics, for example, like this, there's a lot of BTC whales that's accumulating right now. I have another one I don't have up, but a lot of addresses between 0.01 Bitcoin to 0.1 Bitcoin and 0.1 Bitcoin to 1 Bitcoin is also starting to accumulate, right? You have a lot of people that are starting to hold and buy Bitcoin, right? And of course, all the institutions like MicroStrategy and Tesla and Galaxy Digital, Voyager, Square, Coinbase, and you go on and on and on. None of these guys have sold. Everything that they bought, they're still holding. Okay? So you have a lot of people that are holding Bitcoins right now. Just yesterday with James, I covered a story about how 75 or 77% of all Bitcoins in circulation is held by holders, long-term holders. So my point to this is why I'm more bullish is, again, look at it this way. You have someone that's desperately trying to drive prices down. They've sold nearly 80,000 Bitcoins on the spot market on Coinbase, yet Bitcoin is still around $30,000. Did it crash down to 10,000? No. Did it crash down to 20,000? No. Right? This shows you how strong Bitcoin is. It really shows you how strong Bitcoin is. This is why I'm more bullish than ever. I mean, this kind of proves my point. Like, what else? What else can the whales do? The ones that are trying to drive Bitcoin down, how much more can they try to sell? Can they do another 80,000 and another 80,000 and another 80,000? Do they have that many to begin with? Like I said, I believe there's probably only like a handful of entities out there that have this much Bitcoin. So where's all this massive selling going to come from now? Despite that this happened. I mean, this is why I'm more bullish than ever. I mean, tomorrow I plan on dollar cost averaging my my portfolio with you guys, right? The sample one. But myself, I picked up, and I plan on picking up more as we go along. This to me is bullish. This is really bullish. I mean, you have to look at it. I know a lot of people won't see it this way. A lot of people say, "Oh, George, look, we're below 30,000 and this and this and this, and we're in a bear market and we're going to go lower." But look at what it took to just drive Bitcoin down about 1,000 points. it took this much selling. This is a crazy amount of Bitcoin to be sold within a single day to make Bitcoin go down just $1,000. Imagine how much it's going to take to drive things down to, say, 20,000 that a lot of people are anticipating. All right, that's another 10,000 points from here, and you have to multiply this basically by 10x. So you would have to basically sell close to 800,000 Bitcoins to make it happen. And even then, I don't know even then if that's going to happen at all, right? So very, very positive, very bullish in my opinion. Now, what is this agenda I spoke of, right? What could this be related to? Well, I talked about this yesterday. You know what's happening tomorrow? Well, not this. This. This is happening tomorrow. So does this have anything to do with this agenda? Because tomorrow is the B word. The B word conference where Elon, Kathy, and Jack are set to have a talk about Bitcoin mining, right? And I theorize that something big is going to come out of this event. Something big. And I think it's because Jack and Kathy will propose to Elon that he needs to open up Bitcoin payments again because these ESG concerns, renewable energy concerns, it is gone. The Bitcoin Mining Council already proved that 56% of Bitcoin mining is from renewable energy. And that's what Elon was looking for. So I think out of this conference, we're going to see some big things happen. Maybe there's going to be more announcements. Maybe Jack is going to announce something even bigger, that Twitter and Square is buying even more Bitcoin. Maybe Elon will announce something because keep in mind, Tesla earnings are next week. So anything that's positive for Tesla, including making Bitcoin go up, will be a fantastic thing. Maybe this is the agenda. Maybe the agenda is to drive things as low as possible before the event, and then it starts catapulting upwards, right? And then maybe, I don't know, Elon's going to be seen the savior of Bitcoin once again, even though we know that's not true. I don't know. I'm just throwing that out there. But I think the timing of this is so close that we now see this massive dump on Coinbase. Then we have this event coming up. Then we have, Tesla's quarterly reporting next week, right? And also, keep in mind, Kathy and ARK Invest is a huge investor in both of these guys. Kathy just upped her Square holdings by a tremendous amount, and she upped her Tesla holdings by a tremendous amount. And Kathy is a big Bitcoin bull, holds a lot of Bitcoins, and ARK just invested another $8 million in Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. So these three are all intertwined very, very, very closely. Okay, both of these guys run companies that's heavily invested by ARK, and we know that Kathy is very, very bullish on Bitcoin. Jack is very bullish on Bitcoin. Elon seemed to be bullish on Bitcoin, except he, we know what he did, okay? Started to troll a little bit too much, but, this could be one big ploy or agenda to try to drive things lower as much as possible, to accumulate or to drive fear, whatever it may be, and then we have a catalyst to kind of push things higher, right? So this is coming tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. I mean, a lot of people say, well, it could be buy the rumor, sell the news, right? Well, right now there's no buying before the rumor. So that's the thing. It's not a buy the rumor, sell the news kind of thing. If it was, Bitcoin would be pumping up huge right now, right? Despite the fact it's not, I think there's something else going on. I mean, again, I don't think it's coincidence that all the timing and everything is right now, right now. All right, what else is there? Well, what about some good old encouragement? Well, I did show you guys this already. Bitcoin whales continue to buy despite the fact that price have gone down. Okay, this is very positive. And also, according to Will, here's something new, that roughly 3,100 Bitcoins becomes illiquid per day, while only new, Bitcoins, liquid Bitcoins coming to the market is about 900 per day. So you do the math. A liquid supply is growing at 3.25x faster per day. And that's right now. when Bitcoin goes through another halving event in another 3 years, this number will drop to 450 Bitcoins per day, right? And a number that becomes illiquid could go even higher. So what does that mean to becoming illiquid? Well, it just means that Bitcoin's flowing out of the spot exchanges and going into cold wallets or custody services, or going to wallets where they just become dormant and they just don't move anymore. Basically, the holders are holding, right? I remember I said statistics, 75% plus of all Bitcoins out there right now is held by holders. So very little, 25% or less than 25%, is actually being traded on the exchanges. And that number is getting lower and lower and lower and lower. And it's just if you follow simple supply and demand, that's why Bitcoin's going up, because the supply is decreasing and demand is increasing, right? So it's important to remember that. Important to remember that. All right. Lastly, I want to talk about Plan B. Because Plan B yesterday tweeted this out and said, well, it's make or break time for Bitcoin and stock to flow, right? Right now, it probably has gone below this point where, the outer edges of where you see the light blue. So people are jumping on Plan B, saying, oh, the stock to flow has been invalidated. So now it doesn't make any sense. We shouldn't use it anymore. We shouldn't, we shouldn't rely on it anymore. Well, here's someone that tweeted this out saying, well, when Bitcoin shot above these points previously, right? How come no one complained about stock to flow not being accurate? Yet right now, even though we haven't really broken it yet, even if we did, how come this invalidates it, right? But the other times where Bitcoin went above didn't invalidate it. So basically the bottom line is, even if it breaks below, doesn't mean that this is invalidated. There will be spikes, peaks, that may exit, whatever, the tolerances, the light blue and the blue points of the stock to flow, but doesn't mean that it's entirely gone. Okay, so I thought that was interesting to bring up, that people always look at the negative, yet they don't look at the positive. When things are going great, no one worries about it, but when it's negative, everyone's worries about it. Oh, how it's invalidated. Well, you know what? It's still early. The stock to flow is going off of basically the entire. It's trying to categorize the entire life of Bitcoin, going from 2009 all the way till now. Right? There will be times where it's off a little bit, and just because something's a first doesn't mean that it's bad either. I'm showing you guys other models that have done the same thing. All right, so that's pretty much it. I mean, overall, guys, I think most of you guys tuning in is wondering what the hell, right? What happened? What caused the dip? It's pretty clear that this caused it. You have 79,000 Bitcoins that flew into Coinbase, not OTC market. Some whale wanted to drive things lower, and this is basically their desperate attempt to do so. This is an enormous amount of Bitcoin to be selling on a spot exchange, right? And despite that, Bitcoin is still holding strong, nearing 30,000. It's still only $300 off from 30,000, right? So this, to me, is a very desperate attempt, and this is why I'm more bullish, because it takes this amount of Bitcoins, this large amount of Bitcoins, to be able to drive Bitcoin just slightly lower from where it was, okay? So think about how much more is needed to drive Bitcoin down significantly. It would be a massive amount, exponentially more than this. So this is very positive in my mind. So just want to get that off in case some of you got joined in late. Now let's do some Q&A. I saw Nathan says, enjoying the silence on shitcoin these days. See, that kind of comment rubs me the wrong way, because Bitcoin Maximus wanted to just see one thing, right? And even though I've said over and over again, Bitcoin will lead the way, you know what? If you look at, I mentioned at the beginning, you look at something like Ethereum, even though it's down 9%, Ethereum went down less than Bitcoin, okay? And there's a reason for that. This is not a coincidence. Now, of course, Ethereum can pick up over long periods. There's swings between the two, right? But you look at overall BTC dominance, it's still at 45%. So that means basically all coins are keeping up with Bitcoin. And the reason why I think Ethereum is holding up very well versus some of these others, like even Cardano's down almost 18%, Polkadot up down 25%. The reason why Ethereum is not down as much as these other guys is because there is more interest in Ethereum these days, primarily over DeFi. Grayscale just opened up a new DeFi trust with a lot of DeFi projects. And also there are companies that are now buying Ethereum Trust from Grayscale directly and buying Ethereum too. Because Ethereum has come out on top right now as like kind of the big dog of DeFi and the big dog of protocols, right? Now, others can catch up someday and may even surpass it. But right now, Ethereum is seen as like the big dog of protocols and DeFi, just like Bitcoin is seen as a big dog of store value, right? So I think that's important to note that Ethereum right now is holding just as well, I guess, relatively speaking, compared to other altcoins, just as well as Bitcoin. And that's pretty good. That's pretty darn good if you think about it. A lot of you guys are Ethereum holders. You know, I became bullish, more bullish on Ethereum within the last few months because I'm just looking at DeFi and I just see it being so early right now. So early. And DeFi is definitely going to continue. Definitely go continue and evolve and grow. All right. Let me scroll up, make sure I didn't miss anything. Someone said John says NBA, no bears allowed. All right. All right, moving on. People are saying Plan B is now called Plan C. I don't even know why it's called Plan B. Why didn't he just name himself Plan A? Stock to flow is not a good model. Why? It has worked pretty well so far. You just have to expand your time frame. People that say stock to flow is not a good model is because they're expecting something that predicts what's going to happen tomorrow or next week. Stock to flow is meant to project over a long period for over 12 years and 12 years into the future and keeps going. Eventually it'll become invalidated, and maybe it does right now, right? But so far it has tracked things pretty darn accurately, but people like to bash it because it doesn't tell them what to do tomorrow. Okay? Nothing is going to tell you what to do tomorrow or next week. If you're trying to trade in this market, which is very, very volatile, very, very speculative, and could change on a dime because there's no way that anyone could predict the 79,000 Bitcoins will go be deposited to be sold off on Coinbase. All right? So if you're trying to trade a market, you're just setting yourself up for failure. It's just too hard, too stressful, and it's 50-50. So if you're going to be in the market, invest for the future. Invest in long-term holds like Bitcoin and Ethereum and other altcoins that have a lot of potential. If you're in it for life-changing wealth, that's what you got to do. Stop trying to trade. That's why leverage people get destroyed. And people will always like chime in and say, oh no, George, leverage is great. Oh yeah, it's so great. Look at all the red. Look at all the liquidations. All right, this is not great. This is from people that think that they could outsmart the market or that they know better or they're so sure, right? And they keep getting liquidated. And once you get liquidated, you're done. And the worst thing about being liquidated is it makes you want to do it again and again and again and again. It's like a gambling addiction. This is why I was so against, and still is so against, like Bybit, because of their leverage. Although it's not just them that's offering leverage. Almost every exchange offers leverage, but you know their draw was to get in people to use leverage. So yeah, don't do leverage, and don't try to trade. In my opinion, some of you guys may want to try to trade. Go for it. I'm not gonna stop you, but a lot of people I talk to After trading for a while, they come back and say, George, had I just held, I would have made more or lost less by just not trading. So I get that all the time. All right. Scrolling down. Yeah, people are speculating it's Tesla. No. This was even more than what Tesla holds. Keep in mind, Tesla only holds, okay, I say only, but they only hold 43,000 Bitcoins. Now, I've heard some people, because of counting, people are saying that, oh, Tesla will sell and then buy back and somehow, or something like that. Or maybe they will just sell, right? But the amount that was sold is even greater than what Tesla owns. 79,000. Tesla only owns 42,000, so no, it wasn't Tesla. And it would be very stupid of them to do so right before their quarterly. And right before this planned, this B-word conference. So I don't think it's them. Like I said, I can't imagine how many people, entities, that actually hold 80,000 Bitcoins. I mean, it just can't be. There can't be that many. Financial fundamentals. How low do you think Bitcoin is going? I think I agree with a lot of people. If Bitcoin's going to continue to go lower, it's probably going to test this 28.8 mark, because this was actually a mark that you can see here one time. And before, when Bitcoin's coming up, it held here too as a support, right? So this has been a pretty good support. So if Bitcoin continues to go lower from where it is now, 29.7, I would say it goes to about this 28.8 mark. Right? Now, can it go below that? Can it possibly go below that? Sure, anything is possible. Is it likely that it will keep going below that? I think not. I think this proves it. You need this much. You need this many Bitcoins to be sold to drive things lower at this point. There's just too many people that are holding. Too many people that continue to hold and buy. Miners stop selling. And you could see the hash rate started to come up. Whales are starting accumulating. Retail starting to accumulating. This is a very strong point. But can it go lower? Sure. Is it likely? I just don't see us going below 28.8. But I've been wrong many, many times before. So we'll see. Jeff Bezos. Claudius of Jeff Bezos maybe sold $2.5 billion of the Bitcoins. Maybe he could afford it. He just went to space this week. I mean, today, not this week, today. He actually went up to space and came back down. So, Bobby says, George is becoming a bit cocky to me. He's so sure of what he says. Bobby, I don't even know how to take that, right? It just sounds like you're I don't know what you want. Okay, I'm confident about what I think. I'm confident about Bitcoin, right? But if you're not confident, stop trying to make me feel like I shouldn't be confident. That's the worst thing you could do. You're projecting your own lack of faith or confidence, and you're trying to project it to others and make them not be so sure of themselves, right? And then in the end, everyone's being like that, and that's how FUD spreads. So, Bobby, stop doing that. Stop doing that. D Maniac says, how do you think the digital euro will affect crypto? It won't. Digital euro, digital yuan, digital USD, they're all stablecoin replacements. They'll affect stablecoins, and that's why there's so much talk about regulations for stablecoins. I think mostly because these countries or central banks, they don't want stablecoins to eat at their business, so they're coming out their own digital equivalent, and that's why they want to curb stablecoins. So I don't think this will affect anything other than stablecoins. So stablecoins probably have to really watch out for themselves. Nathan says, okay, well that's good. I saw your response. It took me a little bit to see. Corey says holding 25% each, BTC, ETH, Matic, ADA, and 10 others. Do you think ETH can make it to 6K by the end of the year? Positive is great. Yes. yes, it's still around, it's still hovering about 1800, right? About 1800. So Bitcoin, in my opinion, will come back. We'll come back. We might be stuck in a rut. We might be down, but I like to look at the glass half full. Too many people in the space, they always look at glass half empty. I like to look at things glass half full. For example, Bitcoin still being up 222% year over year, okay? And ETH being 661% year over year. So I think Bitcoin still could come back. Everything I've been saying about the fundamentals and on-chain metrics and everything else that's going around the world, fears of inflation, none of that has changed. None of that has changed. And these are reasons why Bitcoin and Ethereum and others will continue to go up later on this year once the fear passes. And things move very, very quickly in crypto. Things can turn on a dime and start heading back up at any given time, right? So I do think Bitcoin will head back up to 60,000 and beyond that by the end of the year. And we could even see a continuation past 2021. So to answer your question, Corey, yes. Let me scroll up a little bit. Thank you, all the positivities. Yes, and Mob says there's so many clown trolls in the chat. Yes, when people are feeling bad, what they do is they want to project their misery or fear or confusion upon others. That's just a natural thing to do. And I hate to even, answer to some of these guys. I feel compelled to. Because what they're doing is actually making things a lot worse. So they're looking for confirmation, yet they're projecting their own fears or FUD upon others. And then, it just causes an endless cycle of FUD, right? You got to stop doing that, guys. Matt C, if you zoom on BTC, it's always on a bull run. It just goes over time. Need to be patient and all work out. Yes. I recently introduced this website again. This is really all you need to if you're feeling down, you're feeling worried, this is all you need to look at. And that is the dollar and how it's getting more and more worthless versus BTC. Okay, if you just don't believe like the chart that goes up for Bitcoin, look at this. The amount of sats you could have bought with $1 10 years ago, and then 5 years ago, and then 3 years ago, and today. Okay, so this will just prove to you why Bitcoin and holding Bitcoin is worth it long haul. Too many people are looking again at short term, trying to make a quick buck, trying to make some money short term, and sometimes that works great. In crazy hyperbolic growth times, it works out great. That's why holding on meme coins is so great sometimes. But for all other times, you stick with the big boys, okay? The blue chips, like Bitcoin and a lot of the big caps, and this is what happens over time, right? So this is what you guys need to focus on. Bezos' rocket ship idea was taken from Austin Powers. I remember in growing up, I found the Austin Powers movies to be like the funniest movies ever. They should do another one. All right. Let's see here. Smashing Runner says, would be nice if those stablecoins could be used as pairings for crypto instead of USDT, USDC, and BUSD. I'm not sure I get that. They are used to as pairings with crypto. Yeah. Someone says, I watched the launch live. It was super disappointing. Very lame, primitive technology when you consider we were doing the same thing 50 years ago. Well, But this is all automated. This is a private company doing it, right? But I don't know if theirs was, you know, I don't know if it auto landed either. You know, like the SpaceX rocket. So I didn't see it. VET is a steal at 5 cents. I do believe that. You know, for those of you guys that's been dollar cost averaging, fantastic. If you've been doing it on a schedule, like every, I don't know, every week or every 2 weeks, every month, right? Continue to do so. But those of you guys that's looking for a good buying opportunity, good dip, well, I'd say this is a pretty good dip right now, right? So, again, when you're investing in crypto, you focus on long term. You never invest more than what you can afford to lose, right? I do get a lot of emails, unfortunately, people saying, you know, I have this. I put it in a market. It's down 50%. I really need this money, right, for my mortgage or car payment or whatever. That's the wrong way to do it. You're only supposed to invest what you can afford to lose. Basically, extra money that doesn't affect your day-to-day life. So there's that, right? And then also, if you're buying the dips, right, if you're taking advantage of low prices, you spread out your buys. If you have X amount, you spread out 5 ways, 10 ways, and you buy a little bit at a time, right? Just make sure you spread it out so you're not too aggressive or you run out of money. So there's that too. But I say this is a pretty good pickup point. Why was the grayscale portfolio 49.9% Uniswap? Well, because Uniswap is the big dog when it comes to AMMs. They're heavily backed by Coinbase and several other prominent VCs. And yeah, they're the big dog of AMMs. That's why I think Grayscale put almost 50% of their new DeFi trust in Uniswap. All right. Anything else? Scrolling down. OP, that's going to be tomorrow. It's every Wednesday. Someone says KCS is my new favorite to trade and hold. KuCoin shares, KuCoin token, you know, the mini Binance. Although Binance is still holding very well too at number 4, right? I know there's a lot of FUD about Binance, but you know, they're going to get through it. Their trading volume is still crazy, but a mini Binance alternative is KuCoin. So I've been using them for quite some time. They're pretty good. Stansberry recommended Modify or Modify. Any thoughts on the projects? You know, I haven't looked at it yet. I've heard people bring it up, but I haven't. I think this is the one. You may have spelled it wrong. They're so low. I don't know about this one. They're so low. Way too low to be looking at right now, I believe. And they're on Uniswap, but yeah, I think it's too risky right now to get such a low market cap. But, you know, if they're good, they could definitely do well, but I don't know enough about them. Bitman 1. I don't know if that went a little too far there. Can you explain why daily BTC volume is average 10K when there was a 60K inflow? Does it mean that it's not all sold yet? You know, these daily volumes. Well, first of all, I think you're really mistaken there, Payam. The daily volume for Bitcoin is $10 billion. It's not 10K. I think you're. Keep in mind one. You know, that volume you're looking at is probably transactions. One transaction could equal $1 billion or $1 trillion. It just depends on how much Bitcoin gets sent. So I think you're looking at transactions, not the volume of the transaction, because the volume is at 11 trillion or 11 billion. Any resources on reselling that you can recommend? Superman, what kind of reselling are you talking about? You talking about arbitrage and flipping? Like normal items, or are you talking about crypto? So clarify that. Immature markets plus irrational investors, illogical market prices. I think that's true. I can't I can't say that's not true. That is true. That is true. Harry says, dude, last night made me bullish. George, I'm glad to hear that. All right, anything else, guys? What do you think about Matic right now? I still think Matic is very, very good. Very good. I think most of the big caps I've covered before, you guys go through, scroll through my old videos. I've covered a lot of these big caps. Like, I'm just going to go real quick. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Binance Coin, Cardano, even XRP, Doge, Polkadot, Uniswap, and then going down like Solana, Chainlink, Matic, I guess even Ethereum Classic, Theta, VET. These guys are all good. They're up here for a reason, right? A lot of supporters, a lot of development, a lot of people that are simply just holding. So, yeah, they haven't changed. Nothing fundamentally changed with any of them. Vikram says, do you see a trend reversal by early next month? I've said we may be stuck in this low range for a few months, right? I do think towards like the last quarter, like October, maybe late September, October, November, December, we're going to see some crazy movement, some tremendous movement like previous cycles. I think that. But of course, we could pick up a little bit earlier too. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. So, hopefully, you guys tuning in, you found out why Bitcoin dumped. And it's because it's just giant inflow that came out of nowhere, right? But to me, this is a very bullish thing. It shows you the desperation of whoever is trying to drive the market down, and it took this much to just drive it down slightly, right? And also, this to me is bullish is because, how many people can afford to do this? How many people can continue to do this? Very, very, very little, right? And Bitcoin is still holding strong, nearing 30,000, not at 3,000, not at 10,000, not at 20,000. It's still holding strong, nearing $30,000. So this to me is very, very bullish, and I really love it. I really love it. But this may have something to do with tomorrow. The B word conference, right? We'll see what happens tomorrow. But in the meantime, I'll let you guys go. Make sure you tune in tonight, 8:30 p.m. Central Standard Time. And we'll see what else happens later today, and we'll discuss. All right, that's it, guys. Have a good one.